All right, welcome back to, or welcome to my FX Buddies, the podcast. And I say podcast because there are multiple mediums on which you can enjoy this content. But my favorite way is the blog. And the blog is parked at myfxbuddies.blogspot.com. I know that's a lot to remember or to type. So, wherever you are engaging with this content, look for an info, intro, description, more, some prompt of that nature. Activate it. Another box opens that has a link to the blog, which is free. You don't have to put your email in. I don't sell anything there. You just go there, and the articles and the links are there, just as I have said. Now, this one you are going to want to come to. Well, if you're going to want to see these documents for yourself, I try to copy and paste the ones that have the most interesting information, but it's a PDF. So, yeah, the links are there, but the nice thing about when you go to the blog, the video, I post it on the blog so you can follow along. So you could click the link if you're on a laptop. I don't know about your other devices, if you know how to open multiple tabs and move between the multiple tabs, but you can follow along and you'll see what I'm showing you for yourself with your own two eyes. Some people like that. All right, what else? Spotify.com. I'm on there. MyFXBuddies, RSS.com. Under MyFXBuddies, RSS.com is where you can get an excellent transcript. What else? Rumble. MyFXBuddies. Yeah. So don't ask me what I am on Twitter. I just chose some random. Well, it's time is now, and I took that for a reason, right? Thinking we were only going to be here 2 weeks. But apparently there's a lot of people who have that name, so there's a bunch of numbers behind it and, whatever. So that's why I don't give out my Twitter, because you wouldn't know that it was linked. Oh, and from now on, when you watch a video on YouTube, anything that I show, discuss, is covered under the Fair Disclaimer Act because it's for critique, criticism, commentary, teaching, and it falls under the Fair Use Disclaimer. At 11 minutes and 11 seconds, a little thing is going to pop up, a little icon, image, whatever, and you can tap that and you can easily subscribe if you so choose. But if you don't want to subscribe, at least hit the thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. I wonder if anyone knows who I'm imitating. But yeah, so if you click that, that will help me. All right. Okay, so we'll get into this. So today is Sunday, June 22nd, 2025, the day after a historic day, at least, yeah, I guess we could say the world, huh? At least a big chunk of the world. And I didn't think I was going to record because everything is the aftermath of that, right? Most of the news around the world, because I like to watch Australian news, this channel on YouTube called WION, but I recently found another one. I can't remember the name of it though. And that WION news, they speak in English. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm going to do a little summary after I go over this stuff here and some of the articles. There is one really good thing possibly that came out of this because there's, per Iraqi TV I was watching, there was two kablooies launched. They were rather large too, but they came from a different place. They came from Yemen. And who, get it, who is in Yemen. The H people that start with Hu, right? So yeah, all right. So let's get into tender for Iraqi Dinar cash distribution. So at first I got really excited. I was like, I've never seen this before. This must be new. Nope. They have been doing this for 5 years. Let me see. I'm going out of order, but just bear with me. And I can't make it, if I make it too large. So see here, previous experience for this, and there's the code and the framework. The last 5 years, they've been doing this with value of that's greater than or equal to, right? Isn't that what that symbol means? Greater than or equal to 13 million IQD. So whatever this is, it is all about IQD. No dollars here. Right? Okay. So, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to close this one. This is a one-page one. All right. So it'll be less confusing. So this has been around. It's a framework agreement tender for cash distribution. And so I just showed you they've been doing this since 2020. Yeah. So we're going to close that one. Okay. Now, when you go to the blog, you're going to see this. If you click on that, it's going to bring up a page that has this here. Okay, cash distribution services, right? All of that. And this link here, it will be live. It's not live right now because we're on preview. But after, post production, this will be a live link and it's going to bring up the one that is 6 pages. Here we go. So this, I guess this is the contract. It says invitation to bid. And I have read a little bit of this. I need to, because I have my reading comprehension issues. I will read it again. Oh, but so this IRW is Islamic Relief Worldwide. This pertains to Iraq. Okay? But there's a group of suppliers that will be identified as cash distribution providers. So are they giving it away? So they're auctioning, right? That's what a tender is, a bid. They're putting in a bid. The winning tender will be required to enter into the framework agreement with those people that I just said by providing the cash distribution on the conditions set out here and in the other tender documents. And I just showed you one of those and we closed it, right? So it appears they go around to camps and other places where perhaps there's low income people and they give cash, dinar. So yeah. And I'm like, I'd love to see what notes they're going to have. But it also seems some of them are going to be digital. Because I saw digital, I saw electronic. And these devices now that they use, since they can go online, they can open these accounts anywhere, right? They can take their pictures, scan them, everything. All they basically need is electricity, which some of the camps have. I don't know about all of them, but some of them do. So, yeah. Okay, now I wanted to show this part. The service provider must have, let's see, I'll make it larger. So you can read these other points here. Okay, well, so IRW reserves the right to amend cash transfer service quantities an amount based on their needs and operations. The money will be distributed or transferred. See? So that's why I say they must have the digital capabilities also, because they're transferred. Should be in good condition and with different denominations of the Iraqi banknotes based on IRW's request. So what is IRW again? Islamic Relief Worldwide. Mr. Worldwide. Anyway, reserve the right to inspect and reject any Iraqi banknotes. But this I thought was interesting. The service provider must have the capacity to work in Iraqi IQD currency, as it will be the official currency of all transactions. So no dollars, right? Supposedly. But so then there's other formal criteria here if you want to read that. And there's stamps and everything. It's very official. There's phone numbers there, and but notice, if you're like me, you've already noticed there's no date. There's no date on these documents, right? So here, I'm not going to go through all 6 of these pages, but so that's the main document. That is invitation to bid. Okay, but here's our date issue. Cash distribution services, the date added to the list of Iraqi tenders, June 22nd, and it ends July 7th, 2025. So this is current. This is actually something happening now. And they had another one. Now this is IR. So I wonder if this is their neighbor. But anyway, so there's other things they do. All right. And what was the last one? Supplier Code of Conduct. So yeah, they tell them, this information is to advise you, our suppliers, of the corporate social responsibility element in our supplier relationship. And you could read that if you like. Is the link to that there? Yes. So all of these links here, which will be on the blog and they'll be live, is what I'm showing you in the video. So the pricing proposal, here we go. This must be where the bidding takes place. Cash transfer and distribution, Hghly service. Now, look where they go. Look, Mosul is spelled incorrectly, but that's okay. Look, they even have this is the latest governance on here. So these people, it says right here, offerors shall have the ability to deliver cash to the above listed locations. Dohuk, you probably heard of that. There's a really famous, is it Al Jazeera? One of those really famous banking news places. They had a studio there. Kirkuk, Takar, Diyala, Baghdad, even, and Erbil. So yeah, so I think this is pretty interesting. And if you want to see it, it's on the blog. That's the last thing, right? Oh wait, here's the blog. Yeah. So there's 4 documents. The longest one is 6 pages. And that's the invitation to bid. All right. So we're going to end there. I know that was most of the time. And I think it was well worth it. All right. So now here, this is one of the stories that came out immediately after the announcement of the three bears. How about that? The 3 bears that hit Iran, which I don't even believe all of that. That's why I'm not even going to talk about that. We don't know what they really hit them with, and they shouldn't be telling us, right? That's a military maneuver that only certain people need to have that information. So why would you go out and broadcast that? I don't know. Whatever. That's just me. That's how I feel. So the big issue, plus there may be some proof, is the enriched uranium was moved because they had been broadcasting for a good 2 weeks. Well, if the talks end, this is what we're going to do. We're going to hit you here. So any smart, wise person who sees trouble coming and wants to get ready, what would you do? You would move that material from that place, right? So they even have digital satellite images that appear to be trucks, multiple trucks, making multiple trips, moving stuff. Plus, there's no radiation in the air that has been tested, or whatever uranium that's been blown up would leave. None of those, there's not a trace. So did we miss it? Did we not get deep enough, or was it not there? Those are conversations that they're having, and whatever, right? It's true or not. Okay, this is only one guy, but he is a prominent cleric and commander of the, see those words there? Yeah, I'm not even going to try to say them. And what he came out and said, their neighbor will no longer choose Iraq's prime minister. So he seems pretty happy to me, right? He says elections are full of surprises. So he said the balance of power created by the conflict, which it looks like they're going to have, but there's still, time for cooler heads, created by the conflict will prevent the neighbor from interfering in the selection of the next Iraqi prime minister. He believes, this guy that I showed you the image of, I think his first name is AWS. Is that his name, or is that part of his title? I don't know. But we're going to call him AWS because that's what they call him. He believes the upcoming elections will bring significant change, but not in the matter of that person. I think that's a person's name there too. So yeah, he said after the balance of power has changed and after this conflict ends peacefully and safely for our brothers in the neighbor. So he doesn't want the people hurt, right? If you're reading along with me, he says peacefully and safely for our brothers in our neighboring country will not have a hand in choosing the next Iraqi prime minister. So, if that's true and if it happens, then there's at least one good thing. I'm not saying there aren't other good things, but that would be a good thing, right? And when are the elections? For now, they're still on track. Uh-oh, I did something. Oh, all right, they're still on track for November. All right, so Mohammed Saleh came out once again and said the country's financial situation is secure despite aggression against their neighbor from Ice Cream Land. But the rate is, I'm fairly certain the dollar rate is probably over 1,500. They keep saying it went down, but the lowest I could find is 1437 to 1457. So yeah, it's probably over 1,500. But it is what it is. Let's check oil. Because I keep seeing oil, $80. Oil, $80. 78. Unless, you know what? maybe, no, they usually go by Brent crude. You probably can't see that, huh? $78.06 as of 10 minutes ago. And there's West Texas Intermediate, which is usually even less. Let's see what gold is doing. Not that one. Gold. Let me just make sure that's the most recent. Yeah, 33.75 basically. All right. So we'll go back over here. So let's see. Here's a member of Parliament, Yasser Husseini, accused the U.S. on Sunday of continuing to impose an undeclared economic blockade on Iraq for what he described as well-known political reasons. And I think that's all he says. America uses a blackmail policy which aims to achieve clear political and economic gains. And I don't know, he might be right? Washington is using the dollar as a tool of pressure to weaken the Iraqi economy, which constitutes an undeclared economic blockade that has affected various sectors. So that is one guy saying that, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who agree with him. So here, this base is one, I think it's on the border, but it's one that gets attention. So they're there, and we do have people there. There's equipment there, so they're on high alert. This came out today. I thought this was interesting. Iraq buys $30 billion in US Treasury bonds. And there was a report that came out this week that said Iraq had fallen out of the top 20. Here. Iraq remains outside the top 20 countries with the largest holding of these bonds for the second year. So do you think we may have said you need to buy some more of our bonds? I don't know. But it certainly is interesting. And then also, there's articles which I never talk about because it has to do with oil. And you know how I feel. Maybe you don't. Oil numbers are hugely, greatly, whatever the proper adjective is there, manipulated. If there ever is a case, what do they say? Liars figure and figures lie. If there's ever an instance that fits that, it's the numbers they use for oil. But it did say that they have significantly increased the amount of oil coming here. So I said, that's interesting also. I wonder if we're trying to smooth things over, but actually forcing them. Not saying that we did, but I'm just saying if we did force them to buy some of our bonds, that doesn't help, right? If they did it on their own, right? But if we were like, I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse, right? Let's see. Oh wait, what else was this? Is this a different article? Oh yeah, there was a meeting, lots of meetings. Oh my gosh. With Sadani in attendance, high-level political meeting in Baghdad addresses the repercussions of the conflict. So, yeah, they talked about stuff, agenda for future decisions, especially after the U.S. entered the confrontation. You see, they don't even want to use the word, right? They're using confrontation. However, down here, they say, and the fear that events could slide into a full-scale world conflict, but they use the three-letter word. So I think they're trying to be very careful also All right. Here's my one ad. Buy me a coffee. That will be a live link if you like, or send something to my Cash App, which is $ T as in Tom, I, S as in Sam, H, WASH, which is $ Tishwash. Big or small, I appreciate it all. Thank you to those who have. I really appreciate it. Okay, here, I feel like I talked about this in the last blog. So it's just more about the budget. They did not send the budget. Oh yeah, maybe you didn't know. So I did a post yesterday, and I'll put it at the bottom of this because there's a video I took. I videoed what they were showing on their TV, on Iraq's TV. It's 3 minutes. It's just a 3 minute. Maybe I'll put it here too. Yeah. So at the bottom of this one, in case you missed that, um, it was just the statement. Well, it was the planes. I recognize that's not what they're called, but that's what I'm calling them, right? It was them taking off. Uh, then it the Truth Social posts or whatever that yeah, you just have to see it. You just have to see it, whatever. So I'll put that at the bottom, okay? And yeah, this was just another about the budget. So hopefully July 9th, they will do something with the budget. Here's a meeting between foreign ministers of Iraq and Iran to contain the escalation. And this was today, on Sunday, after what happened. They had a meeting, this group here, if you're not familiar with this group, I don't want to say it, that they had a meeting. You can see there, the sign there, and lots of discussion took place. Okay, the neighbors' parliament has officially approved the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. But before you get, oh man, look at this. The final decision is subject to the approval of the Supreme National Security Council. So it doesn't mean it's a done deal, but that's them voting, right? If you watch yesterday's episode that I did, the Who people, they already said they're shutting it down. And I don't know who they listen to. I don't know who they answer to. Someone. I know they answer to someone, but I'm not sure who. All right, so we're going to end this here. Are you excited about the week coming? I'm excited about the week coming. What it's going to bring. There's so much propaganda out, right? On both sides. Not just sides. Other countries I've listened to. British news. I listen to all kinds of things. People giving their what's it going to do to the stock market, all all kinds of things, and we just have to wait and see. And I will be here and I will report for those of you who like to listen to my reports. So thank you. A matter of fact, thank you. I did get a couple of new subscribers. Yay! Thank you. And accumulate while we wait for the rate to appreciate. Don't miss any meals. Pay all your bills. And what else? Join, follow, subscribe, because I don't post regularly. And if all things work as they're supposed to, if you've done those things and click the bell or something like that, then when I do update, you'll be notified and then you can go and listen. Thank you for your questions, comments, all of that is, we're going to get through this together, really. And that's part of why I did this, so people would know they're not in this alone, right? Okay. I think that's it. Yeah. Thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your morning, night, noon, whatever time frame you are indulging in this content. And until next time.